The rain had stopped, but the streets of Rome still shimmered under the soft glow of the old city lights. It was the kind of night that felt suspended in time, where everything moved slower, as if holding its breath. Ken adjusted the collar of his coat and walked up the marble steps of the grand venue. It was just another invitation. Just another night filled with strangers, laughter, and a touch of champagne. He wasn't there to be noticed. He wasn't even sure why he came. The inside of the ballroom glowed with golden lights, reflections dancing off tall windows and polished floors. People mingled, exchanged compliments, and smiled through their rehearsed pleasantries. Ken's eyes wandered, as they often did in rooms like this, unfocused, detached. And then he saw her. She was standing by the far window, where moonlight poured in like something out of a painting. Her silhouette hadn't changed. Her posture, calm and composed. Her face. It hit him like the sound of a long-lost song. He stopped breathing. He forgot the chatter around him. He forgot why he came. It was her. After all these years, it was her. His fingers trembled slightly as he reached for the glass on the tray of a passing waiter. He held it but never drank. His throat tightened. He couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Across the room, she hadn't yet noticed him. Or maybe she had, he couldn't tell. But the moment was already alive in him, playing frame by frame like a dream he'd had too many times to count. His voice, usually calm, measured, even charming, was suddenly lost inside his chest. He had no words. No voice. Just silence. And her. The memory wasn't distant anymore. It wasn't locked away in the past. It was walking toward him. People say time heals all wounds. But they never talk about the wounds that stay quiet. The kind that don't bleed, don't scream, just echo. After that night, the night they ended, Ken thought he'd moved on. He had convinced himself of it. The career was booming. New countries, new faces, scripts that took him to other worlds. But nothing silenced the whisper of her name in the back of his mind. They had never had a dramatic goodbye. No screaming. No final door slammed shut. Just silence. And maybe that was the worst part. He remembered how it all began. It was a late summer afternoon in Istanbul. He had arrived late to a set meeting, frustrated and flustered, when she walked in, calm, radiant, untouched by the chaos. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. And that's what impressed him most. Her laugh had caught him off guard the first time he heard it. Not because it was loud, but because it felt like home. Their connection was fast. Organic. Like two people who already knew each other in another life. They talked for hours after every shoot, sometimes just sitting in the car, not wanting the night to end. She made the world quieter. But fame doesn't make room for quiet things. It demands noise. Schedules. Pressure. Distance. At first, they handled it like professionals. Until the professional bled into the personal. Until the scripts they read started to sound more honest than their own conversations. He still remembered her last message. I'm not asking for forever. I'm asking for now. And if you can't even give me that, then maybe you're not the one I thought you were. He never replied. Not because he didn't care. But because he didn't know how to say. You're right. And I hate that you're right. Years passed. He watched her from a distance. Occasionally. Quietly. She grew stronger. Smiled more. Traveled. Worked. And every now and then, she'd disappear for a few weeks. No posts. No interviews. He liked to imagine those were the days she missed him. He liked to believe she still did. But they never crossed paths again. Until tonight. Until Rome. The weight of the unspoken years settled in his chest like stones in a river, silent, deep, unmovable. His voice had been gone long before tonight. He had just finally noticed. She turned. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Just naturally, like the wind had shifted, and her body instinctively followed its call. And then, their eyes met. Time fractured. Everything in the room, the music, the conversations, the clinking glasses, all faded into a distant hum. Ken felt the ground beneath him shift, like he'd stepped into another life. One he used to live. One he had buried. For a moment, she didn't move. Neither did he. Her expression didn't give anything away. No smile. No shock. Just stillness. But her eyes, those same eyes, held a storm behind them. A storm he knew all too well. He tried to smile. He couldn't. His lips barely twitched. He wanted to say something. Anything. But the words didn't come. His throat tightened. His hands went cold. His heart, loud and restless, pounded like it wanted to escape. She was right there. A few steps away. Yet she felt miles distant. And then, she smiled. It wasn't the warm smile he remembered. It wasn't the one she gave him at 3 a.m. after a long night of shooting. It wasn't the smile that came when they'd find something to laugh about no one else understood. It was a polite smile. One that said, I see you. I acknowledge you. But you're not mine anymore. He felt the crack in his chest widen. Still, he took a step forward. One small step. And then another. But before he could reach her, someone else appeared beside her. A man. Not young, not old. Confident. Comfortable. His hand casually touched the small of her back, like it belonged there. Ken froze. The man leaned in and whispered something into her ear. She laughed. Softly. Briefly. But real. Ken's lungs refused to expand. His voice? Gone. Again. She glanced back at him one last time. Her eyes lingered, just for a heartbeat. Long enough to stir every piece of him that still ached. And then, she turned away. Walked deeper into the crowd. Out of sight. Out of reach. He stood there, surrounded by strangers, by music, by warmth. And yet, he had never felt colder. He didn't follow her. Not because he didn't want to. But because he knew, this wasn't the right moment to speak. Some silences aren't meant to be broken by words. Some are meant to echo. Ken stood still, unmoving, long after she disappeared into the crowd. He didn't know how much time had passed. Minutes? Hours? It didn't matter. The room felt hollow now, like the air itself had thinned. The chandeliers still sparkled, the music still played, the world still turned. But his didn't. He walked toward the exit without a word. Past the tables, past the laughter, past the echo of a voice he'd never forgotten. The night air hit him like a wave, cold, sharp, sobering. And finally, he breathed. Not the kind of breath that comes naturally. But the kind you take after holding it in for far too long. He leaned against the stone railing outside the venue. Rome stretched before him. Ancient, beautiful, silent. His reflection stared back at him from the dark glass of a nearby window. And then, he whispered. I should have said something. I should have said everything. All these years, he had carried the weight of silence like a shield. Pretending it made him strong. Pretending it was easier. But tonight, silence felt like the cruelest prison of all. He remembered the messages he never sent. The calls he never made. The words he rehearsed but never delivered. You changed me. You made me softer. I was scared. I wasn't ready. But I never stopped. He closed his eyes. Even now, he couldn't finish the sentence. Because the truth was, she deserved to hear it. Not the night air. But that chance had passed. Maybe in another lifetime, he'd walk up to her. Maybe in that lifetime, he wouldn't freeze. Maybe he'd say the things that lived at the edge of his tongue for years. But not in this one. In this life, all he had was a memory. A single moment. A glance across a room. And a voice that refused to speak, until it was too late. As he walked away, the city lights blurred in his eyes, not because of the rain. But because sometimes, heartbreak doesn't come with screaming or broken glasses. Sometimes, it comes with a smile that isn't yours anymore. And a silence that says everything. I saw her from across the room, and lost my voice. But what truly broke him was realizing he had lost her long before that.